I'm Stuart Blore, and I was contacted recently, along with a fellow minister, by a TV company with a view to doing some filming. We chose a venue and I decided to pay it a visit beforehand to refresh myself. I've fished there before, but not for some time, and I decided to do an overnighter. It's a commercial type venue, and on this particular video, this is what happened when I decided to spend a night by the water's edge. I'm now fishing, as you can see, probably the rod's to the side of me. Always the first thing I do whenever I go fishing. Always been like that ever since I was a kid. Get the rods out. Want to get fishing as quickly as I can. Unless it's raining, of course, then the brolly goes up. At least it's a dry day today. Quite windy. Hopefully that won't affect the quality of the video. But I'm now going to get my shelter up and make my camp for the night ahead. As you can see, got my shelter behind me, totally set up now, and I'm having me a cup of tea while the rods are out. The conditions, I suppose there's positives and negatives if you like. The positive is that the water temperature is a steady 7 degrees. I've had the thermometer in for a while, and it hasn't budged from 7, so that's quite good. The negative, I think, is that this wind that's coming in is from the north, so it is a cold wind. We are predicted minus temperatures tonight, -1, -2, something like that. Not too bad, not cold enough to get a proper bivvy up yet. I've still got an open fronted shelter, so it will be a little bit of a struggle, but it's a commercial type water, and so the fish are generally quite hungry compared to some of the more difficult challenges that are out there. So as always, I'm confident, and as I so often say, confidence is such a big factor when you're fishing. In itself, it won't put fish on the bank, but without it, we're really against the challenge that lies ahead. So in terms of the big picture, I'm definitely hopeful of catching a fish or two for the camera over this session. I'm going to try and do as much filming as I can before it gets too dark, so I'll show you now where I've got my baits, and also more importantly why I've decided to put them in the place that I have. I'm fishing a bottom bait on this particular spot, and as you can see I've got some overhanging trees just out there. That's on a little point on the lake, and I'm going to zoom in now so you get a closer look. As we know, carp like cover, especially in the winter. So as you can see all that there, all those overhanging trees, those branches, that's where I've got one rod, just off there. So that's my main target for this particular session. That's where I think the fish will be for sure. And the second rod, as you can see to the right of the screen there, there's an overhanging tree again, but I'm not fishing off there. And what you can see on the distance as well, that's an island. I'm not fishing off the island either. I'm actually going somewhere about a third of the way off the tree into what is in effect open water. Now this is a little bit of a gamble, but I just want to put a theory to the test that the fish in here aren't going to be as closely packed as perhaps on some other waters, and that they will move around with the water temperature being 7 Celsius. So my theory is that I've scattered some boilies and some ground bait as well over a fairly wide area, so any movement of fish, they'll pick up the bait and they'll start to feed, and then of course they'll find my hook bait. That's the theory anyway on that particular rod. So that's my line of approach as far as the bait is concerned, and the positioning of the bait, which is important. I think it's crucial really whenever we go fishing, but especially so in the winter, that we think through the session. I have been on here before, so I've got a little bit of prior knowledge of what the place is like and how it fishes and all that sort of thing. But it's important that we don't just turn up and cast out. We need to find depths, we need to find out what kind of bottom we have in front of us. Is it gravel? Is it silt? Are the leaves there? What sort of bed is in front of us? Because if we just cast out, it really is chuck it and chance it. And certainly as far as the winter's concerned, we need to do all that we can to increase the chances of catching and minimize the ones of blanking. So as I've just gone through my bait approach there and why I've got the baits in that particular area, or those areas should I say, I'll be very interested to see which one outfishes the other. I mentioned that I'm fishing a bottom boilie on the one rod. Well, here it is, or here they are. I'm fishing two of them. They're actually pellet shaped boilies, and as you can see there, I've got the dip. There's the dip. Tutti frutti up for the camera. You can see all the dip coming off the boilies there. So I've got those on one rod. This is the one up against the overhanging trees. And as you can see there, a PVA bag. The boilies are in there. Also some broken boilies as well, tutti frutti, and some pellets. So I'm going to put both bags casting out, both rods casting out into PVA bags, and of course respective boilies in each one. But I'll show you the other setup in a moment, because that's a pop-up, so slightly different. There's the pop-up link, and there you can see my boilie, which has been well soaked. It's still dripping there, as you can see. Into my first fish. Can you believe it? It's on the one on the open water rod. So my little hunch paid off. Funneling the fish through the little, well, it's not quite a little channel, but the area between the overhanging tree and the island. It's a mirror. A fluid splash, and I'm about to bring it into the net. Excellent. Only a small one, but as I always say, not a blanker. As you can see, it's dark now, and I've just had a fish on the tutti frutti boilies, and I'm going to show you that on the camera right now. And as you saw there, it's not a carp, but a still water chub. I'm into the third fish now. Obviously you can't see anything because it's in the dark, but no doubt you can hear it splashing away. I'm just bringing it to the net. Yeah, there it is. In the net. I say that a lot, don't I? It's a great thing to say when you're fishing. Because the alternative is a hook pull. There it is. Just a small common, as you can see. But as always, very, very welcome. I'm back under cover now in my shelter. It's actually started to rain a little bit, and that wasn't predicted in the weather forecast. So it just shows that whenever we go fishing, regardless of what the weather forecasters are telling us, it's always good to put a brolly or a bivvy or a shelter or whatever it is applicable to that particular session. Anyway, that fish has gone back now, and I'm really happy with that, really pleased with that. It's been quite slow. I did expect to perhaps have a little bit more action than I have, but having said that, that northerly wind that's come in has caused the temperature to drop as I expected, and so the temperature trend is down. It wasn't great in the first place, and so obviously that will affect the fish. But I'm a great believer, it's obvious really, isn't it, that we never catch unless we're out there at the water's edge. And by the way, I've got the place to myself tonight. Well, they continue to come. It's just gone 9 PM, and here's another fish that's on the mat at my feet. Well, I'm kneeling actually, and there it is. Don't know if you can see that there. Yeah, just a small one, but beautiful looking fish. A good tip, well actually more of an essential really, if you're thinking of doing YouTube videos yourself, is get one with a light, particularly if you fish into dark, even at dusk or sometimes during the day when the conditions aren't very bright at all. A light is essential, but most definitely if you intend to fish at night. Otherwise you will have real difficulties, and you'll end up strapping a torch or taping a torch to the top of the camcorder, and that really is quite difficult, particularly when you film on your own. And believe me, I speak from experience there. So get yourself a camcorder with a light like I have now. It's now the morning, as you can see. I had a very quiet early hours period. I think it was the sleet actually that didn't do any good for the water. It definitely lowered the water temperature anyway, and fish are susceptible to those sort of things. But in it to win it, and I did catch a few fish anyway, which is quite good for the conditions. In the few hours that I fished, I've had sunshine, I've had cloud, I've had rain, I've had sleet, I've had very strong winds, and now no winds at all. That's the British weather for you, isn't it? And it's certainly what we're up against as anglers. But as always, I've enjoyed it, and I've probably got a couple of hours now before I pack away. And I've just checked the baits actually, because I had such a slow period. I did wonder whether I'd actually got baits on, but I have. So hopefully I'll get a fish now in daylight to end the session with. I don't know if you can hear a bird in the background there. You can hear all the carrion crows. That's about the best dawn chorus we get at this time of the year. Carrion crows and pheasants, and there's a bird going on. It's got 3 syllables. Don't know if you can hear it, but that's a collared dove. The difference between the call of a collared dove and a wood pigeon is a wood pigeon has... Can you, it's not doing it now. I want it to be on camera. A wood pigeon has 5 syllables. Hear it? And a collared dove has 3. So that's the difference. So next time you're out fishing, listen to that coo of a pigeon stroke dove, and if it's got 5 syllables, it's a wood pigeon. If it's got 3, it's a collared dove. And funnily enough, just as I tried to film the collared dove in call, I've just heard a stock dove that was right in the distance, so there's no chance of picking that up. Anyway, it's stopped now. So that's the other one that we're also likely to hear. There is a bird called a turtle dove, which was once fairly common in the UK, but sadly now it's not. And the only chance really of hearing that is to go to the right place where you know that they're going to be. I don't live in the right area for turtle doves. I never come across them. But if you are in the right place, in the summer they are migratory birds. Stock dove, collared dove and wood pigeon are all resident. But in the summer, if you are in the right place, if you can hear a turtle dove or even see one, then that's a fantastic sighting. So those are our doves and pigeons that we're likely to encounter, certainly away from the coast, because there's a rock dove, which again is a very specific bird. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I don't know whether the filming will actually turn into a series. It depends whether they can get a commission and all that sort of stuff that goes with that. But the bottom line is, if it does, that's great. If not, I enjoyed it anyway. And I'm going to end this video with a few photographs of the sessions that I've done on this place, including some when we were filming.